Daniel Garza, and welcome to another episode of Put It Together Podcast Live. I am here at Shanti, Orange County, with my friend Bruce. How you doing, Bruce?
I'm great. How are you, Daniel?
Good. I'm doing good. So before we get started, I want to thank my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir, for everything you do. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Remember, if you're watching this live, we will be having questions, and if you're watching this on rerun, please send your questions. I'll put all the information at the end. Also, it will be shown on podcast. It will be playing on the audio podcast live later on today. Thank you for everybody who's joining us. We are at Shanti, Orange County with Bruce. So before we get started on talking about Shanti and all the new ventures, Bruce, introduce yourself to the people watching and tell us who you are.
Great. So my name is Bruce Vancil. I'm a case manager here at Shanti, Orange County. Coming up on 8 years with the organization. My background is medical psychology, and I studied at Cal State Fullerton and Cal State Los Angeles. And Shanti's been just a perfect fit for this kind of background. Before coming to the HIV world, I was 23 years in the oncology world as cancer control director for the American Cancer Society here in Orange County. And then I took a funny little hiatus. Cancer Society was reorganizing. I could see there wasn't going to be a job there. And so I spent 2 years at my avocation to earn my living. I went to the Queen Mary to be the executive director of the foundation there, the nonprofit foundation. So I played boats for a couple of years.
Nice.
And then that went away, and I found Shanti. And now I'm back doing what I went to school for.
Did your background in cancer help you in any way over here?
Yes, it did. Cancer has been researched for well over 100 years, and there were things going on and services going on there that as I came on board here, the HIV community was changing. More people were going back to work, having better success with medications and so forth. So I was able to adapt some of the programs, patient self-advocacy, things like that, into this new audience that had not thought of these ideas before. We're also working with a maturing audience here. HIV, AIDS, people aren't necessarily dying from that. They're dying with it, but not of it. They're dying of something else. So longevity issues become an issue. In 2015, for the very first time in history, 50% of the people with HIV were over 50 years of age.
That's pretty interesting.
Keep going. You're going to have a nice long life.
Yeah.
It's really important. And for the first time in history, we're putting 2 words in a sentence that never were there together before: HIV and geriatrics.
Oh, wow.
So it is going to be a chronic disease of aging. So good luck. We're all going to get to grow old.
But we want to say that although people are living longer with HIV and we're still around, we still don't want people to get infected.
We don't want to get infected. It's not so cavalier as that. And with the infection, and if you had really low counts back in the day, or really high viral load, there might have been some background inflammation that caused some damage. So what we see is that some of the co-infections, liver, kidney, heart, cancers, things like that, tend to come along a little earlier than the non-infected population. So you want to be paying close attention to the health screenings and seeing your doctor, staying in care, and taking care of all those other body parts that back in the day people never had to face the consequences. They never thought about it. I'm not going to make it that long. Now you are.
Now, before we continue, you are a case manager here at Shanti. For those the people that are not familiar with HIV services, what does a case manager at an AIDS service agency do?
Okay. First of all, my position is wholly funded by federal dollars, the Ryan White Act. So I only work with HIV clients.
Okay.
Period. What we do is a full-on psychosocial assessment of each client as they come in, and then periodically after that to see what's going on in their life. How are they handling employment? How are they handling their housing situation? What's their nutrition situation look like? All the things that could impact their ability to stay in care for their HIV. So there's a whole series of programs under Brian White that are designed to knock down the barriers and make sure people stay access to health. And that's what we do. So we do the assessment. It's like, and we'll look at, okay, you're going to need help with housing. Maybe you need to talk to the nutritionist and get something going because you've been losing weight here. Whatever's going on in a person's life, our job is to connect them with a resource that can help. Some of these things are funded strictly through Y&Y. Other things, there are unrelated food pantries in the community that people can access, food banks and things like that. So we look for all kinds of resources, both specific to HIV and not, to help correct any areas where there might be problems.
Is there a top thing that HIV positive people require, or is there a general thing, or is it by case?
It's by taste, it's by lifestyle, it's by what are your resources to begin with. I see people in very highly placed professional positions, and I see people who are just on disability or not working at all for a long time. It varies. So that's why we do the assessment, to see where you are now. And hopefully someday you get to the point where you come in and say, you know what, I don't need you anymore. I've got all this, I'm doing it all myself. Thanks for the help, but go on. And we will applaud you. We'll celebrate your graduation with you, that you don't need us anymore. By the same token, don't be a stranger. Come on back and visit.
Somebody's pretty much like in my case, that we can self-manage our illness.
Mm-hmm.
We know where to go to for services. Mm-hmm. Is that where you want people to be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more completely we can do that, the better off we'll be.
We're still working while we're recording. That's how good they are here at Shanti. No interview is more important than answering the phone.
And I have a do not disturb button, so excuse me.
There's also things that people don't think about when it comes to HIV positive people. Mental health.
Mm-hmm.
That's also offered here?
That is one of our specialties. We have a very vast and growing counseling department that specializes. They're based in the medical psychology realm that I mentioned I was attached to, and they specialize in the psychological issues of dealing with chronic and terminal illness. Mm-hmm. And because of all the changes of ACA, we now take Medi-Cal clients. So we're also seeing people who don't have HIV. We have someone who specializes in counseling for amputees.
Oh, wow.
And other kinds of illnesses. So we can, and we've got a person who's very, very expert in substance use. So we can handle a lot of the different things that come along in life, and it's a great department. They're all very highly experienced and very highly trained. We've got more PhDs than we can shake a stick at right now.
Wow, that's very
keeps growing.
So if you're watching this and you're in the Orange County area here in California, and you are in need of mental health care, remember that here at Shanti, you can come in, and it's not just HIV positive people, which we also have to deal sometimes with depression, addictions, anxiety, PTSD, because that's also that's something that I learned during my cancer treatment. For those of you watching, there is a PTSD diagnosis associated with health issues. So if you've been, like in my case, been through health problems most of your life, then post-traumatic stress disorder due to that can happen. Absolutely. So just be aware of that. So pay attention to that. And then, so you can call here at Shanti. How about referrals? Is there anything that you cannot do here at Shanti that you send out?
Absolutely. The way the county structure is, all the AIDS service organizations working with the Ryan White dollars, we get our grants and we specialize. So we have case management, and we do a mental health program, a very robust program. Other agencies might do transportation, they might do food pantry, have a nutritionist, handle housing, and what we do is we all just cross-refer to each other. Mm-hmm. One agency has a client for counseling. If they have depression, they send them here. I have a client who needs help with a food pantry, I send them there.
Got it.
Everybody, we're one big diverse team, and we all know who does what, and we all cross-refer constantly. The fax machine on my desk is very busy. We still use fax.
Fax machine, yeah, there you go.
Because they're confidential. You can't hack a fax machine. That's HIPAA compliance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. See, for all of y'all, and I'll raise my hand, who have criticized, like, why do I have to fax this in? That's why. Because it's more confidential than a computer can be.
You can hack email.
Wow.
Absolutely. You cannot hack a fax machine. It's a dedicated line, and that's what HIPAA requires. So doctors, medical groups, lawyers also rely on fax machines.
So there you go. For all of you who have ever wondered why we're still faxing stuff in, it's because it's more confidential than the computer system, the internet, because the internet can be hacked. Wow, I learned something new today. There you go.
Yeah, so it's not just because I like antiques. Okay?
So keep faxing stuff in so now you know. So let's talk about Shanti now.
Okay.
There have been some changes.
There have been some changes. I think the one real hallmark of Shanti over our 30-year history is change. And we're still doing it, only this time it's kind of a big one.
Okay.
Sarah Kasman, who's been executive director since before the planet cooled, let's be honest, retired on December 1st. She went to Laguna Beach for the World AIDS Day celebration, stood there with her candle, and at 5:30, boom, I'm retired.
And she's done.
And she's gone. And she was very much looking forward to retirement and travel and family and all those sorts of things. To replace her, and I'll be honest, I was nervous until they made the announcement.
Well, it's a big change. And for those of you who are not, before you say who is, for those of you who are not familiar with Shanti in Orange County, Sarah Kasman was a huge personality. She is a huge personality. She's not dead. She's a huge personality. She was not just director here, she was also part of the Laguna Beach HIV Advisory Committee, which she's still a member of. She's been around
planning council, priority setting, all the committees that decide what services are needed and how much money to allocate.
So anywhere that Sarah Kasman steps, anybody who comes in after her has huge shoes to fill. So let me be honest too, because when I heard there was going to be some change and she was retiring, I was like, well, that's the end of Shanti. But it didn't happen that way. So.
No, it did not. We have a new executive director. It's Dr. Lindsay Fitzpatrick, who's a psychologist. And Lindsay did her first postdoctorate internship here.
Wow.
About 7 years ago. So she is part of Shanti. She learned at Shanti. When Dr. Michael Jarvis retired, she came in as the head of our mental health program and ran that. So she is dyed in the wool, Shanti all the way. She understands the caring heart mentality. So really, the only thing that's going to change is the name on the ED's door. Everything else rolls along as it was with again, expanding programs. When I started here so many years ago, I was the case management department. I was Now I have another full-time case manager and a half-time case management assistant.
Nice.
So we've grown. Mental health has doubled from 3 to 6.
Wow.
And we're looking to hire on another psych assistant. So it's been grow. Thanks again to new audiences that we're able to see. But what that also means is all the stuff we do with Ryan White stays.
Okay.
None of our programs are ending. None of the funding has been changed or cut. If anything, has been expanded because we keep breaking the goals. And everything we've ever done for Ryan White case management clients continues exactly as it ever has. So please don't be worried that there's going to be any kind of lost program or anything like cut back. I've worked for agencies where they took people out of the offices and just said, oh, all you ever need is a call center. We're not going to do that. Shanti is still very high touch. We're about people, and that does not change. That is our base. That's our essence.
Now, again, I'm also a consumer. So for those of you watching, I'm not just doing the podcast or the live feed. I'm also a customer. I'm also a member of Shanti. I've been with Shanti now for about 8 years, 9,
something like that.
Now, I have my own thoughts when changes start happening. So after years of being in the HIV community, I've seen agencies here and in Texas change, and there's always something. What were some, or did you get any feedback from other consumers when they heard that the director was changing?
Some people did express concern. A lot of it were people who are in our groups. And because they know Lindsay, they knew her from back when. It's like, oh, she's taken over? It's going to be okay. So that part's, that was really, really easy. Once we found out who it was, then it's like, oh, okay. They weren't bringing some outsider with, wanting to duplicate what they did in New Jersey or something like that. Again, she's one of us, and the transition has been actually incredibly smooth.
Okay. And I ask this because I know there's probably an agency out there watching or that will watch this, and they might be going through some of their own changes. And I think one of the best things is when we can learn from other people's journey and to not make the same mistakes or correct situations. Was there anything that could have been done differently, or did everything work out great?
I think everything went much better than I expected. The process was smooth. It was kind of a bombshell when Sarah called us into her office one morning and said, "By the way, guys, I'm retiring at the end of the year." I thought much the same thing. I kind of went into an internal panic. Okay, what now? The golden years are gone. But once it was announced that Lindsay would be succeeding, I had, okay, worries are gone. Boat's not going to sink.
Got it. Yeah. So that's one thing that maybe for those of you watching, if you're part of any agency, it doesn't have to be HIV services. If you're part of an agency and you're thinking about making changes, it's always good to put things out there forward to let people know what's going on. And because sometimes the consumers can help you with the transition. Word of mouth, speaking well of the new people coming in or the services coming in. We're your advertisement.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, word of mouth has always been the strongest thing that Shanti's had going for it. Our consumers are very happy, and they share that word, and that kind of happening with the transition here, because again, Lindsay's a known quantity. She's an admired quantity, so that part has been once the announcement was made. Okay, collective exhale.
Cool. So what new things? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's expand a little more. And for those of you watching, if you're just joining us, or for those of you listening just now, I am at Shanti, Orange County, with Bruce Vancil. We are talking about the changes that are going on here at Shanti in this 2018. Let's expand a little more on the services, the new things that are coming in. We talk about mental health and expanding outside of HIV. Can we go a little more into that?
Absolutely, yeah. Again, we've doubled the size of our treatment staff, and we're looking to hire one more. And the program has followed a path of new mental health services, some of which I'm not expert on, so I'm not going to say what they do. Different therapeutic measures that these guys have all been certified in, and different things that they can do. We're still doing the basic stuff, individual and group therapies. We are totally open to the idea of if a need presents itself that we need to start another group, we'll do it.
Okay.
Very simply. Right now, we've got a couple of names on a waiting list for a women's group that we used to have. It kind of dwindled down, and we had to close it. But if there's enough women out there with HIV who want to get together and talk about it, we'll convene it. We'll put a therapist on it.
So if you're watching or listening to this live or on a rerun, and you're a female with HIV, any amount of years?
Any amount of years.
So it doesn't matter when you were diagnosed. If you're a female who's HIV positive and would like to be part of a women's group, how would they be able to do that? Can they contact you through Facebook, email, messages?
A phone call is generally better. Again, phone lines are confidential.
Got it.
And if you just give us a call, we'll put your name on the list. And once we get enough of a critical mass, we'll put it together.
Awesome. Do you know what other groups are available for group therapies?
Right now we have on Monday nights we have a 12-step program.
Okay.
And they don't care if it's drugs or alcohol. It is the only HIV positive only 12-step program with both those together, and that runs Monday night from 6 to 8, I think.
And is that the criteria, HIV positive in recovery?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are HIV positive and you're looking for a 12-step program, whether you are alcohol, drugs, or both, they have a group here on Monday night. So put that on your calendar.
That's there. We also have a program. There's a group on Wednesday night and a group on Thursday night. They're slightly different, just based on personality mixes and so forth. What we will do generally is a therapist will talk to a prospective new client and just get a feel for what they're dealing with and how they're doing things, and make an assignment to one of the groups that is going to be a good therapeutic fit. The trick is, if you're going to start into therapy, particularly group therapy, you want to make sure that you're going to get your needs met. You're not going to sit there for an hour and a half providing support and comfort and compassion to this circle of people and not get your stuff met by the end of the session. I mean, I've heard so many people go, I went to the group and I didn't even get to talk. We're going to do everything we can to prevent that. You're not going to get to be the life of the party at every meeting, of course, but you're going to get your fair share of why you came. And the evidence that I hold up for how successful the group is, we have people who've been in the group for 13 or 14 years running.
Oh, wow.
So they must be liking something to give up one night a week.
Yeah.
So there's Wednesday and Thursday. And again, if we see a need to start something else, we will. Every once in a while, when we see a group of people who are just kind of feeling stuck in life and don't know where to go next, and we'll hear this in therapy. We talk about these things in our meetings. What are you hearing from the clients? We have a program called Navigating the Journey that deals specifically with the issues of, I've come this far and I'm stuck and I don't know how to go ahead, but I want to, I think I can, but I don't know how. It's a group situation. It's 4 sessions, so it's very time limited. It's very specifically focused. There's homework assignments, things like that. So it's not like come in and say, how was your week? We're going to look at, how do you feel stuck? How have you ever gotten over these things in the past? And then people share their stories, and your assignment is to, 1, tell your story and share with people how you've overcome an obstacle. And then your other assignment is listen as these stories go around the room and see if there's something that someone else has done that you never thought of. Hey, I'll bet I could try that and succeed. Right. And we have seen people decide it's time to go back to school, get the degree, get the job, get the home. All this stuff is possible as long as you finally decide, oh, all right, I've been stuck. Now I want to get moving. I just can't sit here anymore and stay in this spot. Mm-hmm. And when we get, again, like the women's group, when we get enough people who need to do that, we do it. We did put some metrics on the project, and we did some studies, and we found some demonstrable results that came out of it. And 2 years ago, we presented that at a national conference in Chicago.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun. And we've got data that says this is an effective intervention. And for only 4 sessions, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, and let me tell you guys, I am a Navigating the Journey alumni. I think I was part of the first group.
I think you were.
That went through. So speaking about word of mouth, Navigating the Journey, I've been an advocate and an activist in HIV at that point, for about 14 years. So I really thought I know everything. I've navigated through this. I'm here to show you guys how to do this. Teach me wrong. I learned a couple of things in the program. It's 4 weeks, pretty intense. There were people that didn't want to share in the beginning that ended up sharing a lot in the end. People opened up. I opened up about things. And actually, after that, it's what pushed me to take my my professional career a little further and do a little more in social media. Because we talked about social media and how some people were not fans of it. And there was a big spectrum. There were people who just did not go on social media at all. And you guys see me all the time. But it actually took me to this next level. So this is why I'm doing it. So I recommend it. If you're in Orange County, get in touch with Bruce. It's really a great program to go through.
If enough people call and express an interest, we will put a program together.
So if you need more info, contact me and I'll tell you my personal story, and then I will direct you over to Bruce. Nice. Yeah. So we talked about Lindsay. We talked about the new programs. The heart stays the same in Orange County. But what other changes, what other things can we expect this year?
Well, Shanti has finally gotten a sense of its own history. We've been around for a while, 30 years. But you go back a long time, there aren't a lot of pictures and a lot of memorabilia and things like that. We've started to get a sense of we got to do some history here and tell our story. And to that end, on January 21st, at 7 degrees in Laguna Canyon, we will be celebrating both Sarah Kasman's retirement and Shanti's 30th anniversary.
Wow, that's pretty great. That's big.
That's big. And at that point in time, when Shanti was founded, it was the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. The services that they provided was comfort and companionship for people who were dying and their families, because that's what was going on. There were no medications. They didn't even know what it was yet. Track several years later, you could move a couple decades down, the medications are working, all the other stuff's going on, people going back to work, normal life expectancy and things like that. So we have to keep changing with the times and the epidemic. That's why I say change is the only constant we have here, because things have moved so fast in HIV. Just in the time I've been here, I've seen tremendously more progress against a disease than I did in 23 years in the Cancer Society.
Wow.
Cancer don't move that quick.
No, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, HIV has made tremendous progress. It's been delightful to watch that and to move. One of Sarah Kasdan's absolute geniuses was that she always wanted to know from the therapist, from the case manager, what are the clients asking for? What are they saying? What are you hearing? What common threads are coming out of this? Do we need to do something about that? And if there was something that's like, yeah, we got this thing, and this is how Navigating the Journey got started, then, okay, I know this pharmaceutical over here, they like to sponsor these kinds of things. Let's talk to them and let's get the resources. Let's put this thing together and make it all happen to where, you remember, you didn't ever get handed a bill for that.
All right.
Yeah, so those kinds of things get covered, they get taken care of, and we're just really happy to provide the help because it's based on what feedback we're getting from clients. They're telling us the kinds of difficulties they're encountering. Okay, Shanti is a very innovative minded kind of place. What can we do about it? Not like where can we send them or, hey, that's not in our contract, but what can we do about it and how do we get the resources? How do we make this happen?
Right. So this is a good note for you guys, for everybody watching. And again, some of these things are not necessarily exclusive to HIV services, but because we are talking about HIV today, if you are anywhere USA and you are HIV positive and you're going to an organization or an office for services, they're there to really serve your needs and make sure that you are better. So if there's something that you are needing and there's enough of you in your area that needs this, you can go in together. And if the case manager doesn't listen, or if the therapist is not really passing your information, walk in and go, hey, we need this kind of service in our area. And there's usually many out there somewhere that agencies can get to help you out. Doesn't work everywhere, but if there's enough people that need the service, then the agency has an obligation to do that.
One hopes so. One hopes that they have an ethic that says we should be doing these things. We should be responding to changes in the epidemic. If you are going to an agency somewhere else other than Orange County, and talk to them about this, and if they want the materials, I'm not copywriting any of this stuff. I'll email it to them. Period.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
We'll share it. We'll talk to them on the phone about how it ran, how we did it, and then they can customize it and make it their own for their own audience.
That's why we put this information out there, so to let you know that it's out there. It may not be available in your area, but it doesn't mean that it won't be. We just have to be a little louder sometimes and make sure that we're heard. But that is one thing about Shanti that I have, being a customer or consumer for the last 7 or 8 years, is that anything that I've ever needed has always been available. And if it's not here, it's somewhere else, which is why some of the Radiant, or also here in Orange County, I've been able to go back and forth for services. So that's another thing. We're all in this together, guys. There shouldn't be a competition. It should not be, oh, you're going there, then you can't come here. It's like, if we can't provide it for you, let me get you somebody who will. And that's how we're going to be better.
Well, and to brag just for a moment, Orange County has a greater spirit of camaraderie and partnership than other counties. I've been to HIV committee meetings in other counties. It's like, really, how do you guys get anything done? Yeah. Because there was always, the one well-funded agency, the 800-pound gorilla, and then everybody else is struggling, and they're all competing, and they're all being, agency first, client second kind of thing. Yeah. I'm sorry, but it doesn't have to be that way, because we are all fighting the same.
Yeah, because just as an announcement for everybody, here in Orange County, you can either come to Shanti, go to Radiant, you go to the 17th Street Clinic, you can go to Radar. So if you want to get tested, if you want counseling, if you want prep, if you want food, anything you need, if it's not at one place, they will direct you to the next place. And it's not just about, here, you go there. They will give you as much information as is available to make sure that you get to the right people. And if you have any doubts, find me on Facebook, and I'm pretty much connected with all of these groups, and I can get you to the right person. I pretty much know everybody.
Yeah,
and it's mostly to the show, not because I'm popular, it's mostly because of the show. So let's tell people again about the event. When, where, what, and who.
Okay. Sunday, January 21st, 7 Degree in Laguna Canyon Road. We are going to be having an event from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, celebrating, again, 30th anniversary and Sarah Casman's retirement. She was here for 24 years.
That's a lot.
So yeah, I mean she's earned a good send off, and we're going to do our best to give her one. And the tickets are $125. You go onto our website, shantioc.org, and there's just some clickable stuff, and you just get right through it. Pay on PayPal.
There you go.
And easy as anything. And we've got wonderful entertainment. We've got a jazz group that's going to be playing some nice stuff in the background. Men Alive's going to send bel canto to our program. We've got some amazing people that we're honoring. So there's going to be some awards, some proclamations, some music, and some fun.
Yes. And I'll be there. I'll be there with my cameras. We'll be doing some pre-show interviews and some post-show highlights. So if we hope you can make it, but if you can't, join us on Facebook Live for the pre-show interviews. We'll be having our own little red carpet moment, interviewing some folks coming in, and then we'll be able to talk to some of the folks and some of the honorees afterwards. So if you can't make it, if you're not in Orange County, you can't make it, stay tuned for that. I will be making announcements on that. Before we go, we also have here at Shanti, you have at Shanti, volunteer opportunities.
We have volunteer opportunities, absolutely. Everything from helping with events and fundraising. We do the Age Walk every year. We need people here in the office. Right now, we're looking for what we call ambassadors, and that's people, as you know, who go into the schools and the classrooms, tell their stories to the young kids there. It's high school and junior colleges and colleges. We've been to UCI's law school, all kinds of things. The world doesn't really know that much about HIV, so we go in, we tell them the stories. We take somebody who's affected, and they're amazed and motivated and inspired. So we're looking for you, because your story is going to inspire someone to make their life better. We train you. We manage the whole thing. We set up the gigs. You might spend half or even a whole day on a high school campus because you're going to do one health class after another. We've both done that.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see the impact you can have. It may be quiet and subtle, right? High school kids, but they won't raise their hand during the session, but they come up to you afterwards. Can I talk to you? So you know they got questions. You know they're concerned and they're interested. So we're always looking for ambassadors, and we need to grow that because the demand is getting good.
And I'll again, another thing that I've been honored to be part of as an ambassador at schools and colleges. So we've done high schools, colleges, and universities in the Orange County area. Excuse me. Bruce and I have actually worked together on more than a dozen classes. And at this point, I've been positive now for 16 years. It'll be 17 next year. Actually, this year will be 17 years. I've had the honor of going into schools and sharing my story. And you might say, my story's boring. I don't have a story. If you were diagnosed with HIV, if you've been anywhere from a year to X amount of years, you have a story. You've survived. You're on medications. You've had to tell your family and your friends. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're struggling with that. Maybe you have depression, anxiety, secondary effects due to HIV. If any of those squares you've checked off, you have a story. And there are kids out there who want to learn. Again, part of the idea of going out is to teach them the basics of HIV. So HIV 101 plus a personal story so that they can understand how it really affects. We live in a world now where HIV is a one-a-day pill kind of thing. And most people think, oh, one pill a day, I'll be fine. You know, if I'm positive, I'll be okay. Not true. So for those of you watching who are not HIV positive or have no idea what being positive is like, I'll tell you my case. Not only am I HIV positive, but I've also am a cancer survivor due to complications with HIV. Cholesterol, heart murmurs, heart problems, high blood pressure, depression, PTSD, all of these things have happened after HIV. So yes, I take a couple of pills for HIV and I can manage that, but then there's this other scope of things that you don't see that I have to deal with. And that's what we try to teach the young people to avoid.
Absolutely. You have to look at the whole of a person's life. It's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect your career and that path line. And you know, if you tell everybody at your work, oh yeah, I just got diagnosed, Are you really going to get that next promotion? So things like that are always going on. As you're trying to develop a new relationship, do you disclose right up front to be a good guy and be honest? And if you do, is that person still standing there in the minutes after? Or do you hold on to it for a time when the relationship's solid and there is some going, hey man, you didn't tell me that, you were holding out. And the suspicions that come with that. It's never an easy process.
Right.
So it's always something really best to avoid. If you're not infected, do what you can to stay uninfected. If you're in a relationship with someone who's infected, prep, do all this stuff, take care of yourself. There's no reason you have to seroconvert and be positive.
And let me tell you, in the last couple of years, there have been some huge breaks in HIV and relationship-wise, PrEP and U equals U. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, get in touch and we'll break it down for you. But there's some amazing breakthroughs that it makes me excited to go to schools now and talk about these new things. So HIV is still out there. It's still an issue. You may not see it often on TV or in the news, but it's still out there and people are still getting infected, and that's where we go. So if you feel like you are able to share your story and be an ambassador for Shanti, get in touch. And again, if you're not sure and you want to get in touch with me first, I will walk you through some of the things that I've been through, and then I'll push over to Bruce and have you talk to them. But even if you've never spoken in public before and you want to do it, this is a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Any other opportunities available? I know there's internships too for students out there.
There's internships for students, junior colleges, undergraduate programs, graduate programs. We have all kinds of things, and we have a very, very strong attitude towards interns here. I push that very hard because I began my career as a college intern at the American Cancer Society, and then it turned into a 23-year career. So I feel like I owe that debt to the next group of students coming up. By the same token, you're not in school, you just want to do something good and give back. Come on in. We've got all kinds of things we need help with. We need help with social media. We need help with marketing stuff. If anybody has good relationships with the press, we need to beef that up a little bit. Again, the fundraisers are important. Office organization is important. Just helping keep in touch with the clients that we serve to make sure that they remember us and, hey, we're still here, we're still care, and do you need anything? If things change. In time of crisis, sometimes they don't remember us. They're just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I got to get to the doctor. Well, call us because there might be something we can do.
Got it. So there's all kinds of stuff. So if you are in the Orange County area and you are thinking about volunteering somewhere and you're not sure where to go, give them a call, find out what you can do. There's probably, and I'll almost guarantee, there's probably something in your brain that you will be good at that you can help out here. Don't underestimate yourself. There's always a need for extra hands, especially when it's a nonprofit organization. If not here, somewhere else, but give them a call. You never know. Even just answering the phones as we hear the phones ringing.
As we hear the phones ringing, yeah. Well, the trick is don't be afraid. You won't be stuck stuffing envelopes. We don't do that.
Yeah, no more envelopes. You might fax something, but you will not stuff envelopes. Well, I guess before we end, let's just first of all, if Sarah is watching this. So proud of you, Sarah. Thank you for all those years of service to Shanti. We totally appreciate it. More than you know, probably. So if anybody wants to send Sarah Castman a message, send me a video and I'll put a video together to send that to her after the event on the 21st. So if you're watching this and you're in Orange County and you're like, hey, I didn't get to say anything to Sarah, get in touch with me and I'll record a video of you saying something nice to Sarah, and we'll make a nice little video for her. Well, not surprised if she's watching this, but the words you say will be a surprise to her. January 21st at
7 Degree. Laguna Canyon.
6 to 9?
It's
5
to 9.
5 to 8. Changing the times here. So join us at 7 Degrees in Laguna Canyon. You're in Laguna Beach from 5 to 9. Tickets are on sale now for the dinner. There'll be other guests and honorees, so make sure that you check the website for that information. If you want to be a volunteer here at Shanti Orange County, get in touch with either me or Bruce, and we will give you the information that you need. Also, make sure if you are a consumer or a customer here at Shanti and you have not met Lindsay or said congratulations or welcome her, send her a message, or there is a Facebook page, and I'll put that on here somewhere. You can send a little congratulations and welcome back to Shanti, because she left and then she came back, right? Bruce, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. For everybody watching, thank you. This has been Put It Together Podcast Live here at Shanti Orange County. I'm your host, Kevin Garza, saying, hey, put it together.